So, as I was making some tea this morning, that little teapot got hot, and when it did, it started to blow off some steam. And I quickly realized that me and that little teapot had a lot in common. And I thought that maybe it would be a good idea if I took a little walk to also try and blow off some steam. And so I did, and what I came up with, I think, is something that could maybe help somebody. Now, I'm new to this whole thing, and I don't have a teleprompter, and even if I did, I doubt I'd use it. But I was just talking into the microphone on my phone and recorded it into my notes, so I'm just going to read it from here, so bear with me, because I really do think that someone needs to hear it. You can either let your circumstances define you, or you can let them shape you. That choice is solely yours. As I was on a little walk this morning, I was thinking about how it always seems like there's a black cloud hovering. And when it lets loose and starts to rain, it pours. Next thing you know, you are absolutely drenched. And not only are you soaking wet, but you're also stuck in the mud. Yeah, I know that feeling. I know it well. And you may be thinking to yourself, it's a new year and I want to change things around, but how can I when I'm soaking wet and stuck in the mud? I can tell you with all honesty and authenticity that I have quite literally been there, and I feel like I'm there once again. So I know exactly how that feels, and I spent a lot of time, years actually, standing in that spot because I thought that I couldn't move from that mud. And if I did, as soon as I took my next step, I'm just going to get stuck again. But then, eventually, the thought hit me that maybe my legs are more powerful than that mud. And if I just tried to take that first step, I could see if that was in fact the truth. So I did. I took that step. And then another, and then another. And I realized that all along it was just mud, and that I wasn't trapped at all, but rather just trapped in my mind. And once I realized the power that was in my legs, that gave me the motivation and the ambition to take another step, and another step, and another step. The next thing you know, you're back on solid ground again. But wait, there's another black cloud. Yeah, there it is. But this time, as long as I don't stop and I keep moving, I'm not going to get stuck again. And so I did. And instead of getting stuck, I just got wet. And if you can convince your mind the same way the circumstances did when you were stuck in the mud, that you need to just keep moving and realize that maybe all along you were just meant to be wet. Life is tough and oftentimes unforgiving. But if you can learn to understand the environment better, you can go from just surviving to thriving. And whether you believe in a creator or just in yourself, how could you ever think that it was supposed to be anything less than that? We got to stop letting our circumstances define us and instead let them refine us. And as you keep taking each step, your legs are only going to get stronger, and at some point it'll show you that the mud can never stop you again. You know, sometimes we get hung up in our own situations, and we think that we have it worse than anybody else out there. And that's completely understandable when you're stuck in the mud and it's pouring down rain. Well, I want to share a little story with you about something that had happened in my local area over the holidays this year. And maybe, just maybe, it'll help you realize that there's always someone out there going through worse. A few days before Christmas, there was a 19-year-old young man killed in a car accident. Now, I just want you to contemplate what the holidays were like for his family and all those around him who loved and knew him. Then, just days later, on Christmas or Christmas Eve, I don't recall, so I apologize, but there was a family driving together and were also in a car accident. A little boy just in the 4th grade died, and his little sister is still in a coma in intensive care today. So let me ask you, how do you think those families felt going through their first holiday without their babies? They were faced with this tragic loss this Christmas, and everyone after it is going to carry the weight of that loss. And that's something that they are going to have to live with for the rest of their lives. So if you're someone that is at this moment currently stuck in the mud and getting rained on, just consider that someone else just stepped into it. And it wasn't mud for them, but rather quicksand, and they're up to their neck in it. So I bring this to you today to plead with you. Please understand that although your situation may seem unbearable, and as you're wondering why that cloud just seems to keep hanging over your head, just understand there's always someone else out there going through worse. And we can use that to muster up the courage and the strength to take that first step. You see, it is all about mindset, and it has been all along. And just as a side note for those who are suffering and may be going through this right now, just know this. This is a spiritual existence. And it doesn't end here. So honor the ones you lost and the ones who you so greatly loved by doing whatever it takes to pry yourself up out of that mud and to take that first step.